My dear students, today we are going to talk about chemical coordination. Now you are in your final months for your IGCSE exam, biology. Today we talk about chemical coordination. When we talk of chemical coordination, now we have to talk about animals and plants. Now what do we know about chemical coordination in animals? We talk of nervous system. Nervous system is also controlled by chemical action. We know its messages are carried by impulses, and these impulses involve chemicals. Then we talk of endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are chemicals. That is, the endocrine system is working with endocrine chemicals. So these are chemicals that's working in our system. Then we talk of plants. In plants also, plants respond using chemicals called auxins. So this is how chemical coordination is helpful in all these animals and plants. Now we talk of endocrine glands. Now what do you mean by endocrine glands? That is, these glands secrete chemicals and are directly secreted into the blood, and it is carried in the bloodstream. Then when we say endocrine glands, we have exocrine glands also. What do you mean by exocrine? It is different to endocrine, because exocrine glands are like digestive enzymes. They are secreted along ducts into a particular specific point, that is digestive juices. Now we have all these. Plants also use these chemicals, animals also use these chemicals, and today we talk of chemical coordination about the endocrine glands. Now we talk endocrine glands, we say there are no ducts. They are called ductless glands. Why do you say ductless glands? Because secretions are directly secreted into the blood. Directly secreted into the blood. They act on certain organs. They act on certain organs we call target organs. We say target organs. If it is the testosterone, we say it is targeting the male organs. Then endocrine glands are secreting in the ovaries, some male organs. So they are very specific and target oriented. Then insulin. Now insulin is secreted by the pancreas. When we talk of the pancreas, we say pancreas is endocrine in function and also digestive in function, that is exocrine gland. So if we draw this pancreas, now part of it we can say endocrine, this is digestive in function. Now what is this pancreas doing? It is controlling our sugar in the blood. Now this is why the endocrine part is doing. What do they do? It is secreting insulin. Insulin. If insulin is not enough in your system, then what happens is you cannot control the amount of sugar in your blood. So insulin controls the amount of sugar in your blood, and the digestive part is secreting a digestive juice called pancreatic juice, which you have to remember, because these are some questions generally coming in your papers. Pancreas, its part is digestive in function, other part is endocrine in function. So what is the substance that is secreted? It is digestive juice, pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice is secreted along a duct into the small intestine, which gets involved in digestion. Right. Now we talk of a comparison. So another question that you get is, compare the nervous system with the endocrine system. Now what are the differences that we know? Nervous system, we say always it's transmitted by impulses. Transmitted by impulses. But hormones are transmitted through blood system. Transmitted to blood system. Then we say impulses travel very fast. Why? It is traveling in the nervous system. You know, these charges are carried as plus, minus. There is a potential difference developing in the neurons, and impulses are carried. So it's a chemical reaction. That is why we say even the nervous system works on a chemicals. Then hormones travel very slowly and take longer time to act. Takes longer time to act. Response. Nervous system response is very quick. Response is very quick. You touch a hot object. The moment you touch a hot object, you take your hand away. Why? Because the message goes to the spinal cord and the reply comes back asking the muscles to contract. Asking the muscles to contract. So the action is very quick, instant effect. Hormones takes a longer time to act. It's generally acting. Then response is short-lived. You touch the hot object, you take your hand out, then your response is over. In the case of endocrine glands, response is longer lasting. Response is longer lasting. Now any person, a young person, now if their testosterone is growing, your testes are growing, then you begin to mature. It takes a long time. It is not a quick response. Takes a long time. You find as you are growing, you start developing your mustache, your shoulders become broader. Why? These are some of the actions of these endocrine glands. Impulses act on individual cells. Impulses act on individual cells in the case of the nervous system. Why? Because the moment you touch a hot object, message goes to the spinal cord and coming along the another neuron, and you take the muscle away. Muscle contracts. The message comes to the muscle and muscle contracts. So these hormones have widespread effect, act on particular tissues or organs. So it has a widespread effect. Nervous system is very specific. Now, we talk of some of the endocrine glands. Pituitary. Now, where do we find the pituitary? If we take the brain, you get the pituitary is at the base of the brain. Pituitary is at the base of the brain. So here is the pituitary. Pituitary is at the base of the brain. Now, lot of these chemicals are controlled by the pituitary gland. For example, follicle stimulating hormone. we talk of follicle stimulating hormones, we say FSH. FSH. What is FSH? Follicle stimulating hormone. What are follicles? Follicles are developing inside the ovary and it becomes the ovum. It grows into an ovum and released out of the ovary, and it is controlled by the follicle stimulating hormone. Then you get luteinizing hormone, we call LH. Luteinizing hormone stimulate the release of eggs, and in the case of males, testosterone, testes, controlling the testes. Then antidiuretic. Antidiuretic hormones control the amount of water in your blood. In your blood. What happens is, if you have more blood, more blood means more water in the blood, more water in the blood, this excess water has to be removed out of the body, has to be removed out of the body. So antidiuretic hormone controls the amount of water in the blood. Now you know this blood is coming into the glomerulus, from there filtration takes place and it is moving in the proximal and distal tubules, and reabsorption of water takes place depending on the amount of water in your blood, and the excess is secreted out as urine, So this antidiuretic hormone is important and it controls the amount of water in your blood. Then thyroxine. Now where do you get thyroxine? Where do you get thyroxine? Thyroxine is released from the thyroid glands. Thyroxine is released from the thyroid gland. Now what does it control? It controls the metabolic activities of the body, metabolism of the body. That is why now people who are suffering from thyroid problems, they can't breathe. They find difficult to breathe because metabolic activities are low, respiration is low. So they find difficult to breathe. So they are supposed to take thyroxine regularly, on a regular basis. Otherwise you can have problems. Pancreas, I explained that there are two functions. Part of it is endocrine in function, other part is digestive in function. Now endocrine in function, it releases insulin which controls the amount of sugar in your blood. Then adrenals, adrenaline. Now what does adrenaline do? What is adrenaline doing? Where do you get this adrenaline glands? It is on the top of the kidneys. On the top of the kidneys, adrenaline glands are situated, and it is secreting adrenaline. Now what is the function? What is the function? It is controlling the flight and fight mechanism. Either we fight or flight. Now we imagine a tiger coming to our presence. What will you do? Either you have to fight or you have to run, flight. To flight or to fight, you must have lot of energy. You must have lot of energy. So what does this adrenaline do? It activates the heart. It activates the heart muscles and start pumping more blood. Start pumping more blood. And even the eyes, concentration is more. Now if you see, adrenaline affects the body in many ways. In many ways. Breathing rate increases. Our breathing rate increases. Then what happens? We breathe in more oxygen. More oxygen means more oxygen goes into our muscles, into our blood, and more blood is pumped to our muscles so that you can fight or you can run. Either flight or fight. So this is a good mechanism developed in our system because of this adrenaline chemical. Then heart muscles beat faster. What does it happen? when the heart muscles beat faster, it pumping more blood into all the parts of the body, so that your muscles will work efficiently, your breathing, your concentration. You must have seen two cats when they are fighting, how they concentrate. They won't move their eyes, they control their eyes, always focusing on the other animals' movements. So this is concentration. This is how, what we say, fight or flight. So in their fight, they concentrate very much. So heart beats fast, sending more blood to the muscles. There is more glucose and oxygen for respiration. Then more blood means you are pumping more oxygen, you are pumping more glucose, so that you can respire and you can produce more energy. Blood diverted away from the intestine to the muscles. Blood is diverted more from the intestines to the muscles. So intestine, the digestion is not that important at that moment. If a tiger comes, we need more energy to run and breathe. So more blood is diverted from there. Stored glycogen in the liver. What is glycogen? More carbohydrates, you are eating more carbohydrates, more sugar is coming to the liver. Liver will store excess glucose as glycogen. But when you need, it is converted back to glucose and supplied to the blood circulatory system. Pupil dilates. I told you, the concentration, the eyes, they concentrate on the other animal. That is the dilation of the pupil, so that you can see very clearly. That is to increase the visual sensitivity. We increase the sensual visuality, because you can see the person very clearly. Then body hair stands. Body hair stands erect. You can see the hair becomes straight. Why? Your body is secreting adrenaline now. So erect, making animal look longer. You must have seen dogs, cats, when they get angry, the hair becomes straight, and you can see the size of the animal becomes bigger, because the hair is all straight now. So it becomes larger. Mental awareness. Mentally you become aware when more adrenaline is secreted in the body. In humans, adrenaline is not just released in a fight or flight situation, but in many other situations. Now you are preparing for exam. You are going for an exam. Some have this fear. They are afraid. They are excited. They get angry. What happens? Your system gets activated, and adrenaline glands will start secreting adrenaline. So then all your changes will take place, what we have mentioned, all these changes will be taking place in your body. So that is about the adrenaline. Now we were talking of testes now. Testes control the male secondary sexual characters. That is the testosterone. Testosterone is another endocrine chemical, which is controlling all development of the secondary sexual characters. That is our growth. We become tall. As boys, our shoulders become broader. Then hairs grow in the armpits. Hair grows around the sex organs. Your voice breaks. You become, that is how we say, you are becoming big now. You are an adult. So those changes can be seen. Then ovaries. Estrogen control female secondary sexual characters. So the same changes you can see when they start menstruation. That is the time that they change. They start menstruation, and menstrual cycle will operate every 28 days. An egg is released from the system. Then progesterone regulates the menstrual cycle. Now all these are endocrine chemicals that we talk of. Now this insulin specially, we said it's controlling the blood sugar in your blood. And we say if your sugar level goes up, you have diabetic, and we identify diabetic 1 and diabetic 2, two types. Now what is diabetic 1? That is pancreas producing enough insulin, but the body shows insulin resistance. Now this happens in a lot of young children. Their pancreas is working, insulin is secreting, but the body doesn't respond. So your body has more glucose in your body. Diabetic 2 is people who are overweight, eat poor diet, more carbohydrates. Why do you say poor diet? Somebody will think that poor diet is, how can this person get diabetes? Poor diet means you are eating more carbohydrates. When you are eating rice, your rice plate is so much, but there are no vitamins, no vegetables, no proteins. So what are you eating? You are eating lot of carbohydrates, which should be converted to glucose. So you suffer from diabetic 2. Now from here on, adrenaline. Now these are all the changes that are taking place in your system due to chemical coordination. Then we talk of plants. I mentioned the auxins are there. So auxins are chemicals which controls the response of the plants, and we say it is tropism. They respond to light, they respond to gravity, they respond to water, right? So chemicals, fertilizer. But today we wanted to talk about chemical, the endocrine system. So we will stop at this point, and I want you to concentrate on these areas, because now we did a comparative study. You must be able to answer any question in these areas, because it's not direct questions, it's comparative study. So sit and concentrate and study these areas. Thank you very much. God bless you.